Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the American Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm here with my boy, Chris Matz.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Great, man. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Of course, dude. It's good to see you, man.
Nice
we made
to
it.
see you too.
We made it. In the rain and everything.
Made it in the rain.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
Got a big announcement today.
Got a big announcement. Super excited. We're getting some beautiful rain. We've gotten a couple days of it now. Hopefully that helps with everything we've been going through with this dry weather. So, man, we got a lot to talk about today. We've got some really exciting stuff to share. And I'm going to get into our journey and our, friendship and all the cool stuff that's happened over the past several years for us. But let's get our big announcement out of the way right away.
Let's do it.
So we are partners now, business partners. We have started a new venture together, a joint venture where, people know for years I've been a real estate broker. I've done a lot in the residential and commercial real estate space. And people know you for years as the president of BPSA, who's done a lot in that networking space with business owners all around San Antonio. So we got our brains together and we said, it's time for us to start a company. And we are starting a company that is going to be a business consulting, coaching, sales, mergers, and acquisitions company. And so I'm super excited to start this company with you, bro. The biggest thing is we're going to be able to help so many people because being an entrepreneur is super difficult and super challenging. And so we are going to be able to help entrepreneurs at each stage of their journey, leveraging a lot of the things that I've learned over the past 20 years being a real estate broker and leveraging a lot of things that you've learned over the past, 15, 20 years of being an influencer, of being a master at marketing, a master at networking. And it's just the perfect combination. don't you think?
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin.
I love it.
I'll be Robin. You be Batman. No, we can trade. We can trade. How about that? I'll be Batman. Then you.
I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity to do something together, Carl.
Yeah, man.
You've been a dear friend of mine for a very long time, a brother, and it's just when we spoke about the idea of doing this and helping local businesses here. And not only San Antonio, but we're looking to take this out of Texas.
We're starting off in San Antonio. Houston. We have a lot of roots in Houston, Austin, Dallas. Eventually, at some point, and then we'd like to be able to serve people all over the country and even the world at one point. I mean, let's not stop there.
Yeah. It's just an incredible opportunity, and I'm filled with gratitude this morning to go into business with you and to help a lot of people. And we're here to serve the people, the community, and I'm super excited.
Hey, man, so am I. So let's kind of start off at the beginning a little bit, and let's talk about how it formed. And I think for me, the reason I wanted to do this podcast originally and the reason I named my company American Entrepreneur is because the entrepreneur, in my opinion, is like a really American idea. When you start talking to people, there's so many people that want to get into business for themselves. So many people that want to chase that American dream. So many people that even sometimes they have a job their whole life, but I want to get in to do something, or I do something on the side and I really want to build that up. And so the challenge is so many people try it, but so many people fail at it. And I would say so many more people give up before they succeed. And even those that do succeed have maybe some temporary success and then lots of challenges. So it's one of the most difficult things to do in life. And I know for me, my personal journey, and one of the ways that you've come along and been such a great advocate in my journey is I was a highly successful entrepreneur in the real estate world. I mean, I was winning awards. I won Broker of the Year in 2019. For San Antonio, in the RE/MAX organization, I was picking up a chairman, a club award every year, which is one of the highest levels of productivity for the RE/MAX organization. So I was selling houses like crazy in my 30s. And our team, we were doing 350, 400, 500 transactions a year for, 80, 90, $100+ million in sales. But deep down, I was broken. Deep down, I was suffering. Deep down, on the surface, I look like a success. I look like this great family man. I look like this great dad, and I look like this great everything, great leader, a great leader in the church, everything. But I was living a double life, and I was really struggling with alcoholism. I was struggling with brokenness. I was struggling in a lot of areas. And one of the reasons I was doing that is because I didn't know how to handle stress well. And I really struggled being an entrepreneur is incredibly stressful. And what we do is we look for outlets of that stress. And my outlet was alcohol, and that alcohol led me to other, toxic outlets for mitigating that stress. I was under so much stress to trying to run a business, working so many hours. And that is what led me to those toxic habits. And so I've had a lot of growth. I'm grateful to God. And a lot of that growth has come from our relationship. And that's what we want to be in our business plan is we want to help entrepreneurs not just get more sales, not just, have more successful businesses, not just hit their KPIs, key performance indicators. All that stuff's important, systems, accountability, etc. But what also is very important for us as we work with people is, how do you handle stress?
Sure.
How's your family doing?
Yeah.
How's your health? Because
health.
There's no point in making millions and millions and millions of dollars, but then having a heart attack at age 50.
Yeah.
Or going through divorce, your kids hate you, but you've made a lot of money. That's not success, in my opinion. And we'll get into our relationship, and I want to encourage everybody that listens to this podcast that this is one of the great things that you can do initially to get started. I'm going to explain how I met Chris, and then Chris, you can kind of go into some of the things about your journey and your story. So I was about in my mid to late 30s, And I was doing great in business. I was making, I had a suite at the AT&T Center. I was just hitting my metrics and making a ton of money at the time, but I was still struggling with alcoholism. And so one thing I noticed is you and I had been kind of friendly acquaintances, I say like 10 years ago or so.
We used to party together.
You know what? Yeah. It may have been. I just don't remember.
It happens. Yeah.
Anyways, we weren't close friends back then, but I remember on Facebook, I would see you and you would see 1 year of sobriety, 2 years of sobriety. And man, I was like thinking to myself, man, how did he do it? And we had a mutual friend, David, I remember. He was working with me in real estate. And we had reached out, said, hey, can I talk? One thing I've always been good at, and I would encourage you if you're an entrepreneur, is if you want to be good at something, you want to be great at something, find somebody that is good or great or having success at that and reach out to them. What's the worst they can say? No.
That's wisdom right there. That is a nugget of wisdom that Carl just dropped.
It's
right
great,
there.
Bro. And that's what I saw in you. I was like, man, Chris, because I knew you used to party back in the day, and I was like, wow, 1 year sobriety, 2 years sobriety. And I started following. So I said, you know what? Let me try to get in touch with him. And so it was probably about 5 years ago. 5 years ago.
Starbucks.
281. We got together, and I sat down, and I was like, man, how did you do it? How'd you do it? And you shared with me some strategies that you went through and some things that you were doing. And it was really useful, but I wasn't quite ready. I hadn't had enough pain and suffering yet, and I still had to go out there and still go through more setbacks before I really reached out to you again, because it was almost 2 years, maybe 2.5 years after we met the first time that I'd reached back out to you.
But I think at that point, Carl, when we had met, what happened was the seed had been planted.
That's right.
In you. The seed had been planted, and it slowly started to grow inside you, and so
to develop some roots.
Absolutely, to develop those roots. And so it may have not completely, we had the success initially that we wanted at the beginning, but the seed had been planted, and you saw yourself changing for the better. And through that time, what happened was we became closer. We became closer.
That's right.
We did.
We really did. And we kept in touch.
We did.
And as life continued to get worse, because what happens is, and I love the C.S. Lewis quote, God whispers to you in your pleasure, speaks to you in your consciousness, and shouts to you in your pain. As my pain continued to get worse because I was still trying to control my own destiny and my own stressors and my own challenges with things like alcohol and brokenness, toxic relationships, etc. I finally reached back out to you one day. This was about two years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago. And I said, Chris, I'm ready to go all in. I'm tired of living this way. And would you mentor me? Would you coach me? Would you come alongside me and really help me accomplish what you accomplished at the time? I think you'd already had almost 5 years of sobriety. And I remember you accepted, and one of the very first things you told me when you accepted that coaching mentorship opportunity with me is you said, for starters, every morning you have to send me at least 3 things that you're grateful for. Every morning. One of the first things that you do. And we've done that every day for almost 3 years. Isn't that wild?
Every single day.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that well? Even this morning, I texted you my three things that I was grateful for. I texted them this morning.
Yeah. Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is the key. First thing when you wake up in the morning, and you do it very well, Carl, is you can be spiritually fit before you go to sleep at night, or you can be a warrior sometimes like I am and have all these challenges of life going through your head, and you go to sleep and it's a new 24 hours and you wake up fresh. And what happens to put I'm speaking on experience, is to put yourself in a godly spirit. The first thing that I do in the morning before I even touch the phone is I get my books, I get my prayers, I get my meditation, and I get into the daily reading, and I let the spirit soak. And then what I do is I do the gratitude like you do every single day. Because when you're grateful, what happens is the fear, the anxiety, they start to slip away, and your heart fills with the gratitude and all the good in your life. And you allow that the spirit to soak in within you.
Yeah.
And that's how we typically start our days.
That's good.
And So gratitude is the key. It's the foundation of my life today. Gratitude. It's in my heart. Everything that I do, whether it's a good day, a bad day, I'm grateful for the blessings or I'm grateful for the lessons. And that's the true.
That's good.
The way I live my life now. And so
yeah,
the gratitude in the morning is key.
It's so key, man. And, I've heard from Zig Ziglar and other amazing leaders in their books. So, I read a lot of books.
Carl is, so let me just brag on you a little bit. You have more books in your office than I think I've ever seen in an office space.
Yeah.
You read more books than any one individual I know. I seek to be like you in that aspect.
Thank you.
And we're actually reading a book together right now.
We are.
And we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
We read it every morning. But man, I love how you're such a constant learner and a constant reader.
Yeah.
And I admire that about you.
Well, that's, I love reading. I'm a voracious reader, and that's one thing I learned early on. It's a habit of highly successful people to read.
It is.
And I learned that early on, and I just kind of stuck with it. But later on in my life, I was like, it's not how many books I read. It's how well I can absorb one book. So that book that we're reading together, I've read 6 or 7 times already, and I'm reading through it again with you, and I love that because I get new things every time I go through it again. Rather than reading 100 books, I want to read a book 100 times and really absorb what I can from it and really implement it and be action-based and intentional about it. And I think I can't tell you how many people, Chris, I've talked to where I say, oh man, I love that book. And I said, what's your favorite part? And they just draw a blank on it. I almost feel bad for asking, because like
put them on the spot.
Yeah, I feel bad for asking because they're like, they just draw a complete blank. Oh, I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no worries. But when I say, man, I love that book, I want to be able to be like, dude, I really appreciate chapter 6 where it talked about this, and that, and this changed my life this way, and I've really implemented that way, and I've struggled this way with that book. It's a great thing that happens when you do that.
I think, it just happened this morning on our way in to do this podcast. Carl and I called and we started talking about the chapter we read this morning about humility and servant leading. And we just went into a deep dive on the way here for 20 minutes about that chapter. And so I want to have the same perspective when I read a book that you do. I want to allow it to soak so I can rehearse it to somebody that is interested in maybe reading that book around the line or down the line.
100%, and I mean, certain personalities are better at retaining information than others. I think I'm not one of those personalities.
I'm a hard-headed, I'm a slow learner. Like if you see me read, like I'm reading the page and my mind is thinking about other things. And so I have to reread the page and then I have to go back and reread the page again. But that's how my mind operates.
Mine too, man. Yeah. Mine too. But to get back to our original story, when I reached out to you, it was 2.5 years ago. By the grace of God, next week I'll be celebrating my 44th birthday, but also my 9-month days of sobriety, Incredible. 9 months of continued sobriety. And I'm so grateful, one day at a time, but that's a huge success for me. And you just celebrated 8 years of sobriety about a month ago, right? A couple weeks ago?
By God's grace.
God's grace, man, that is so incredible. And so one of the coolest things about Chris is, when I reached out to him and I made that all-in commitment and I said, you know what, I'm ready to change, he came in and he gave me some strategies for success. He coached me and he mentored me and started working with me. However, I let you down a few times. You know what I mean? I would go and I would have a weak moment and I'd start going back to these toxic habits. And what I remember about that, I think my coaching style has always been when somebody shows me that they're not serious or they're not intentional or disciplined, sometimes, man, I'm a little too rough. I'm like, okay, you're not ready. We need to go our separate ways. Come back to me when you're ready sometime in the future because you're not ready to be coached by me. But, the way that you came in with so much grace and you were like, you know what, let's just get started again. And, man, I love that about you. And, almost it really brings up a lot of like just appreciative emotions because I look throughout my life and maybe I've been a little too harsh with people sometimes. Like I feel like, man, maybe I should have been a little more, graceful and giving people second. I feel like I did at the time, but also too, I was like, well, now it's becoming, too much. And I know business is different from that side of things, but I'm so grateful that you didn't give up on me, because now, I'm going on, knocking on the door of 9 months, and it's just such a great thing and such an amazing blessing in my life.
Yeah. And, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, Carl. You've see, each time, because back in my journey, it wasn't when I was having really big challenges. I did the same thing you did, man.
Yeah.
I looked to seek advice from others that had done it before me. And I want to give a big shout out to two of my best friends, Desmond and Mike Anthony.
Mike.
They're amazing people,
amazing
blessings
guy
in my life.
Yeah.
And I sought them out. And because like you, I wanted to know how they were doing it, because like you, we love the lifestyle of the city, being out under the lights.
Around. Oh yeah.
Being in the middle of the party,
I wanted to be a DJ when I was young.
DJ. I just wanted to hang
I
out
wanted
with
a
all the
DJ,
DJs.
you know what I mean? I wanted to be in the crowd and
Right.
just, boop, boop, with the music going. That was a dream of mine. Still is, kind of.
You're still young, brother. You can make it. We
Still
can do
is,
it.
kind
we
of.
Can do it. But I had to seek it out too. And, those guys, every time that I would fail and I would go out, they would just show me love and grace.
That's great.
I
love that.
Love and grace they would show me. And my mom, man, bless her heart, gosh, that woman has put up with so much of me throughout the years, man. My mama would, I would go out in my 30s, and the love and grace she showed me, she'd stay up until 2 a.m. and call and text me to make sure that I got home as a grown man.
Yeah.
And, I was, that's that grace that I try to show people, because I know I've been there, and to see your journey, Carl, it's been an incredible part of my life.
Thank you, man.
I love to see how this looks on your life.
Yeah.
And you're constantly showing that to other people too.
Yeah.
And they see it. And you're a blessing to so many people that get to do life with you.
I appreciate that.
And to see this change in you.
I appreciate that. It's, and that's how God works, right?
Absolutely.
Like God brings you people, and God brings you systems, and God brings you things, but you have to step into them, right? That's that faith thing that we talk about. Scripture,
it's a big part of our business too.
It really is. It really is. Scripture says iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? And so you have to be willing to become iron to sharpen it. You know what I mean? And so I love that about our relationship, and I love how far we've come, and we got a long way to go.
We do. Getting started.
Just getting started, man. We're just getting started. And so I'm going to segue a little bit into BPSA and talk a little bit about the success that you've had there, and kind of push into that, because I think one of my, I started going to BPSA stands for Business Professionals of San Antonio, by the way. And if you haven't been to one of their networking functions, best in the city by far. No contest.
We appreciate the endorsement. We do.
Best in the city. And I know, I've been going there for years back when Tom started it originally.
Shout out Tom White, started BPSA in 2017.
2017.
We carry his vision along 2025. We carry what he envisioned back then. And BPSA wouldn't be here without Tom. And we try to, honor him at each one of our events.
Fantastic leader, amazing
one of my
guy.
Mentors, one of my life mentors. Yeah, love Tom White.
Tom White's great. But, I will say this, since you've taken over as the president of BPSA, these events have gotten, it's standing room only. You can't even get around in these places. There are so many people. You know what I mean? Like the last one, it's just so many people. I'm surprised we haven't got a call from the fire department yet, it's got to shut us down.
It takes an incredible team. And I have an incredible team. Genevieve, Rachel, Wes, Daryl, Sarah, Rachel, and they're just some of the best people in my life. And I do life with them, and we come together and we try to serve the community by raising money for nonprofits each and every month. And we pick a different nonprofit, and 100% of those proceeds that we raise at each one of our events, as you know, we meet every second Wednesday of the month, all around the city. And so we pick these nonprofits out, we bring them into a space, and all the money that we raise goes directly to them. And it's one of the best aspects of my life to serve the community, serve our nonprofit community, and serve God while we're doing it too. You know, that's the most important. And so those words that you speak over BPSA, they're not taken. I mean, we're full of gratitude for those words, Carl. We really are.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, it's been a huge benefit to me, and I love how you guys have raised so much charity. And the charities are always so cool when I go out. They're sweet people. And, you know, the connections I've made there have been just incredible, game changers for my organization, personally, professionally. I mean, it's been a fantastic experience to see where it started and see where it's at today. And we've got a big one on April 9th. As a matter of fact, it's at the Roca, and is it Martello? What's the name of it? Roca?
Yeah, Roca Martello.
Roca Martello, right? Is that okay?
At the Rock at La Cantera.
The Rock at La Cantera. Now, this is going to be a big one.
It's gonna be a huge one. We're anticipating our biggest turnout probably ever for this one.
Yeah.
Jason Dady's restaurant right there at the Spurs' new facility.
Yep.
We're partnering up with the San Antonio Spurs and Spurs Give. They were our partners last year, and we're doing it again this year. And so, as you mentioned, the event's going to be April 9th.
April 9th.
And we're doing it on the second floor of La Roca. And so we're expecting a tremendous turnout. So if you plan on coming out, supporting BPSA, supporting Spurs Give, make sure that you RSVP for this event because it's a great thing, but I think that we're going to get past capacity.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen
show
is
up early.
We'll show up early. Correct.
Yeah.
Show up early. We have some incredible guests that I know you're going to talk about
we're going to do
shortly.
some speaking.
But we have some incredible giveaways too. Some surprises. The San Antonio Brahmas are going to be there. We have, I don't want to give too much away, but if you come and our event is to capacity, the beautiful thing about the new Rock is there's a courtyard space.
Yeah, it's outdoor.
In the middle of, the middle of the facility where we're going to take our party and we're going to go into that space. So everyone that comes out will be a part of it. We don't want to shut anybody off. So if you come, you're more than welcome to join us either upstairs or in this courtyard there at the Rock.
I'm excited to see the Coyote and Spurs Jesus.
Man. Hey, you're dropping nuggets. You're dropping our.
Can't wait to see those guys. No, it's super exciting. So come early on April 9th so you can get a good place and get set up. I went to the Spurs Give event you did last year at Blue, and man, that thing was just. I had to get because I kind of found my way outside a little bit on the of the crowd, and I couldn't get back in. I was so many people.
I think the fire marshal was called on that one.
Dude,
yeah, we were over capacity.
That one was wild.
Shout out to Blue Prime Steakhouse, a wonderful event that you helped us throw last year for Spurs Give. It was just incredible, and we're looking to recreate that this year. And so, in a couple of weeks, and our business has a big announcement that evening.
Our business has a huge announcement.
Yeah.
American Entrepreneur. Consulting, coaching, sales, acquisitions, and mergers. We're going to have a big talk that day. And I think it's a big thing that's needed because even to take BPSA as one example, I know so many entrepreneurs that go there, maybe meet a few people and get a few cards, but then they don't follow up. You know what I mean? They don't set that coffee appointment. They don't go and seek to add value and seek to make an alignment with that person. And I think if you just have somebody come along and say, look, you got to have a strategy. You got to have a system, a CRM to put them in, a to-do reminder, a follow-up system, to get yourself back in contact with that individual that you met at BPSA that night to see if there can be an alignment there, a way for you to add value to them. It's a very simple thing, but it gets missed a lot of times. And that's the great thing about having a good coach in your life. Great coaches help you create great habits and establish great habits and maintain great habits.
Preach.
Gratitude every morning. That's a great habit. It gets my mind right. It gets me in the right, sense of intentionality with my morning. And so it's a great habit that you help me establish. Great coaches create great habits. And so even something so simple as, okay, if you're going to invest that time, energy, money in going into a networking function, maybe you grab 3 or 4 cards. Let's be intentional about making sure that you follow up with that individual, set a coffee appointment, speak to them about their business, speak to them about, how you can help each other.
Absolutely.
It's so simple, right?
Yeah, you're speaking wisdom. We have a part of our group. It's the networking tip of the month. And where we allow board members on our board to go in and tell these nuggets that you just dropped to our audience this morning. And you would be surprised how many people in the networking space or just business in general don't do the follow-up.
Yeah.
I talk to business owners and entrepreneurs all the time, and that's one of successful entrepreneurs and business owners. They have the foundation, the strategy of who they're selecting to speak with, the follow-up, the tactic behind the follow-up. Those are just key elements of success in business.
Right. And you know, a good coach is going to hold you accountable.
For sure.
You know, great leaders ask great questions. So, you know, if I'm coaching let's say a small to medium-sized business owner that has been investing his time, and that's a strategy that we're working on, one of those questions will come when we visit is, did you go and visit with those folks? Did you get coffee? Who did you meet? What time did you spend with them? What questions did you ask? You know,
what's the follow-up protocol from that meeting?
100%. And do we have a system in place to help you stay up with that, or to help your staff members or your associates stay up with that? And so there's a lot of things that can be done. And what I notice in business, as I've been in business for a very long time, it's not these complex, you know, everybody wants to figure out AI and have the best AI strategy. You know, we're using AI in a lot of effective ways in our business. But it's the simple things. You know what I mean? The simple, like, how many conversations did you have today? You know, how many people did you visit with today?
How many phone calls did you make today?
How many phone calls? You know, it's just the simple things that typically will get you results in business. It's the basic habits.
That's right.
100%. And so, yeah, come out to BPSA. Did you want to say anything about BPSA before we move on?
Yeah, of course, I would just want to continue to show gratitude to everyone that comes out to our events each and every month. As you mentioned, our attendance numbers have been record-breaking these last 2 years, and it's all because of the San Antonio community, surrounding areas that continue to come out and support our group, support our nonprofits, support the community. And we couldn't do it without our sponsors as well. The sponsors play such a key role in our events, because we wouldn't be able to host our events without our sponsorships. And so those are just key players behind the success of BPSA. And so thank you, San Antonio, for continuing to show up and show out each and every month for our group. We truly appreciate it. I'm speaking on behalf of the board. And we're looking forward to a really successful event with Spurs Give on April 9th. And so, and let's talk about the other announcement, the new business that we're working with.
Yeah.
I think it's a really big announcement.
Well, yeah. I mean, so we started this coaching. We've been talking about it for a while, but I naturally saw my business shifting in that direction. You know, what's crazy is, you know, over the past, I would say 5 to 6 years, I've really gotten deeper into commercial real estate. And the thing about commercial real estate brokers is many times there's a business operating in the piece of commercial real estate that you're selling. And us as brokers have a bad habit of saying, oh, just that's not worth anything. You know, that sometimes you can even look at it as an inconvenience. We got to move all this stuff out of there so we can put the new thing in, and all we see is the real estate.
Yeah.
But as my business started to kind of transform a little bit and I started to see more opportunities with the business, I started to see a lot of value there. And then it's even transformed into a way towards the end of last year, one of my largest closings ever. There was some real estate involved, but it was more the business that we sold. It was 47 employees. It was, you know, contracts and relationships and leadership involved in that business that was more valuable than the land and the buildings that came with it. So it was kind of like a light bulb moment, an aha moment, where I was like, wait a minute, there's a ton of value in the business side of things. And I think it's a really underserved segment of our industry, because if you look at who's out there really in that consulting, coaching, merger, sales, acquisition space, there's very few. And there's some on the larger scale that only deal with super large businesses, but who's there to help the small guys and medium-sized guys? There's virtually almost nothing there, you know? And the people that are in that space, there's just kind of mixed levels of success, and, you know, there's just a huge opportunity there. And so then I started to think about what you were doing at BPSA, and what do you have at BPSA? You have a ton of small and medium-sized business owners and business entrepreneurs, and I thought, what a perfect opportunity to serve the community. And so we started, and we've already started to pick up some businesses. We just we're closing today, this afternoon.
Yeah, this afternoon.
We're closing on Poke Bowl.
Yeah.
which is a poke restaurant. I don't know if you've had. A lot of people haven't had poke before, but it's freaking amazing.
I'm speaking on the behalf of the fitness and health passion that I have. I'm really passionate about just trying to stay in shape and eat right and healthy. Poke is one of the healthiest options you can absolutely feed your body. It's fresh fish, shrimp, veggies. You can get a salad base, or I prefer the rice. I love rice. But it's just one of the most incredible, with all the fast food and all the options that are out there today. You can't ever go wrong with poke.
It's kind of a new concept too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it hasn't caught on yet quite, but it's West Coast. It's real big.
Huge.
Hawaii, it kind of started in Hawaii, right?
It was big when I grew up in Busan, South Korea, as an adolescent, and it was big back then, back in the mid '90s, and so I'm glad that it's transitioning over to where it is now, and the health folks, the fitness community, that's one of their favorite places to go in, and you'll see a lot of on the social medias, a lot of poke incorporated with a lot of the meal plans, and a lot of these fitness gurus are doing. And so one of the best, healthiest options you can do if you're either treating yourself for lunch or dinner.
And so our location's over here on Petranco,
which is just a growing area.
Yep, growing area. Poke Bowl is the name of it, and so. Maybe we'll even have lunch there this afternoon if we can squeeze it in, But it's a highly successful franchise out west. And we'll talk more about franchises, as we kind of navigate through the podcast. I think franchises are a really great opportunity for new entrepreneurs. Many people may remember me. I used to own Remax franchises when I first started. And what it was is, it was a way to do things. It was systems. It was branding. It was all these things so I could come in and operate a brokerage without having to recreate a lot of things or figure out things on my own.
Sure.
So franchises are great, but they do come with a high dollar cost, so you got to be willing to pay that cost. It's got to make sense, And for me, Remax made sense for, 11 years of my career, but at one point I made that strategic decision to remove myself from that brand. For a lot of different reasons, another topic, another discussion. But I do enjoy good franchises. I've worked with Schlotzsky's and helping those franchises. I've worked with a ton of franchises over the years. And I do think that they're a great option for a lot of young entrepreneurs. And so we're excited to take this franchise over. It's the only one in Texas. They've got I think 30, throughout the nation. I think most of them are in California, Southern Cal. They got a few in Florida, a handful in Florida, and a couple other, throughout the rest of the nation.
We're the only one in Texas.
We're the only one in Texas.
That's right.
So maybe we'll start with one. Who knows where it will go? But it's a pleasure, and it's an incredible opportunity to come in and help fix some things with this business that can just be brought back to health.
Absolutely.
Brought back to health. And so, if you're in the area, come out and check out Poke Bowl. That's the first of our, mini acquisitions that we have coming up. Yeah. So I'm super excited, man. I mean, who would have thought, something so simple as poke? But I do want to be very, very careful in what we say, and because a lot of people will want to model what we do. There's many times prior to us saying yes to Poke Bowl, we said no to a lot of others. You remember when we were over there at the Rockbox Fitness
on, by the Rim.
At the Rim, right?
Yeah.
So I spoke to the owner of the Rockbox there. And I love that place.
Beautiful.
Man. Oh man, it
Great
was
facility.
Fun. It was great, man. It's cardio kickboxing, a very successful franchise out west. Again, a lot of these franchises come from out west. And I went in there, but when we assessed the business, it was not a good decision. They were overpaying on a lot of things. The lease was out of control. I mean, they were paying like $15,000 a month in rent. I mean, it just was not a good deal. And so I think sometimes the coaching and advice that we have to give people is you need to walk away from some things, And that's when it comes tough. But a good coach will be honest with you.
Sure.
A bad coach will take your money and say, keep shooting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. A good coach will be like, look, no, you need to walk away from this deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's a bad deal. And so in that particular case, that was the consulting that we gave that owner is, unfortunately, he negotiated a bad deal when he first got into it, tried to continue with it, and it was best for them to close their doors.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. It's like,
and he's going to learn from that. He's going to learn.
Yeah.
So in the short term, it may have looked like a loss, but the next time that he steps out into that entrepreneurial space,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to have lessons from that experience.
Yeah.
And he's going to learn from it. He's going to be better from that experience.
100%. He's a young guy too. Very successful young guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been really successful in the e-commerce stuff. And so that's what you see. You see a lot. The entrepreneurial gene, if you will, is like one that is willing to take risks and move quickly. The challenge is, you have to have the wisdom with the energy. You know what I mean? One of my mentors over the years, he would say, when you're young, you have all this energy but no wisdom.
Yeah.
And when you're old, you have all this wisdom but no energy. so you got to get it in between. You got to get some. You got
to be in the middle,
right? You got to get some wisdom while you still have some energy,
right?
You know what I mean? And so he'll be fine. But the other thing is too, sometimes it's helping these entrepreneurs navigate risk, and sometimes at the very beginning of it, a lot of people don't know that they can put protections in place for themselves when they get into a lease agreement. If you just go to the commercial real estate landlord, they're not going to tell you about any of that. They're going to take your money and sign you up with a full guarantee, a full personal guarantee. If you work with our consulting company, we're going to negotiate that on your behalf and make sure we put things like a max cap on your personal guarantee. So if things go south after 2 years, you can have the flexibility to get out of that,
Sure.
and you're not going to wind up in court with a $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 judgment against you because the landlord got you for the full 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years.
Yep.
And a lot of entrepreneurs don't know that.
Correct.
They had the idea, they had the energy, they went full force, and when they look back, it's like, man, I wish I would have had somebody consulting me. I wish I would have had somebody coaching me. I wish I would have had somebody that could help me hedge for some of this, and that's true of myself too. I didn't find my first coach and mentor until almost 3 years in the business. And he taught me a lot, and I pretty much within a year or two got to like his, production level, and I became an owner, and I bought half the company, and I started to move really fast, which is something that entrepreneurs do. We move quickly, but you got to move with wisdom too.
Yeah.
And so it helps to have somebody that can come alongside and, share with you some things that have happened over the years, and that they've studied, that they've researched, that they've experienced themselves.
Yeah. And I have, Personally, I have 3 big coaches in my life. I have a business mentor, number 1. I have a spiritual mentor, number 2. And then I have a fitness coach, number 3. All the triangles of my life, I have a coach, someone that's smarter than me, that's preaching that wisdom into me daily, weekly. And so the thing that, I'm hard-headed, slow learner. But the thing that I'm always willing to do is have an open mind and be humble, to always learn. I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be, because I always want to be constantly learning. And so I think you're 100% accurate on the coaching aspect, and what we're going to be able to provide for that entrepreneur mindset that's seeking to do better in life.
Yeah, 100%. You got to have people pouring into your life. And so that's a huge, huge part of success. And, you need to have multiple people there too, because, you can have, again, and that's why we can get people, we can put the right people in place, but at the end of the day, we got to look at everything, because being a successful entrepreneur, again, it comes back to your health too. Yeah. It comes back to your family as well. Yep. It comes back to a lot of factors where people they get this, this tunnel vision on, metrics and marketing and, systems, and you can get so obsessed with that stuff that you lose sight of some really important things in your life.
You gotta keep the main thing the main thing. And it's that for me, it's God number 1, family, health, and then everything else kind of goes after that.
That's good.
You gotta be inside right.
That's good.
You can't. The outside is just. You got to be internally. You got to be internally guided, and I think you're 100% accurate on what you just preached.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Well, we're gonna have a lot of follow-up discussions.
Yeah.
Tune in next week. We're gonna have
big show.
We have a big show next week. Huge show next week. It's gonna be me, you.
Yep.
We have Beto Altamirano coming out, and of course, I feel like, he's the front runner for mayor, but you got some big guys in there. Gino Ortiz is making a lot of money, and there's 27 candidates for mayor. Have you heard about that? 27.
It's incredible. It's
me and you should have got in there
we
too.
We should have jumped in the race.
We should have jumped in. Why not?
We're excited to have Beto.
You could have voted for me, and I could have voted for you. One vote each, right? Jeremy would have got his vote too. You got to vote twice, Jeremy. Once for Chris, once for me. But no, I like him. The reason I like him is because he's a young entrepreneur.
He is.
He's not a political, insider. He's not a career politician. He started his tech company.
Yeah, young.
He built it up himself with his partner Eduardo, and man, they became really successful.
They did.
And they're successful today. And so now, he's 35 years old, and he's coming in, and he's got a lot of charisma, and he's got a lot of great ideas. But I love it because he's been able to take guys like you and me and sit down and you know what he says to me when I sat down for the first time. He said, "Can you coach me and mentor me?" I was like, wow, like that. I don't hear that enough from a lot of younger people. It's always like, let me tell you about my idea, my me. But he was like, no, I want to learn from you. Like I would like you to coach and mentor me. And I'm like, okay.
It's kind of like that servant mentality read this morning. Yeah, he's such a humble guy. We've had the honor of knowing him for some time now. And it's going to be an incredible race. He's definitely a front runner for sure. And we're excited to bring him on and talk.
We try to bring him on, talk to him. He's got a lot of really cool insights when it comes to tech companies coming to San Antonio, which I know is a big part of what we're doing, in the industry of helping businesses. And so we also have Cordero, Spurs Jesus,
my longtime friend, Spurs Jesus. If you guys did not know, let me drop some little nugget here and if you see Spurs Jesus out, ask him about his rap career back in the day. Not too many people know that.
I didn't know that.
You see, so ask him about that. And where'd you hear that from? Just ask him about that.
Have to drop some bars next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hear some bars.
He can drop some bars.
Should we do a rap battle? A rap battle. I don't want to get tangled up with him on that. I'll lose for sure.
Love Spurs Jesus. I'm glad to have him on too. Great dude.
Oh man, that's exciting. Yeah, and his wife Carson, she just won Queen of the Riverwalk. Did you see that?
She's amazing.
Queen of the Riverwalk, Carson, this year, and we're super
power couple,
100%. They do a lot for the community, and I love
for the community.
And so he's coming along with us in this coaching and consulting company and offering a lot of marketing strategy. And he's done some really cool things in the branding, marketing side of things. And so we're super excited to have him on and talk through that. Marketing can be such a broad thing. As a matter of fact, when we go in and assess a lot of businesses, many cases they're overpaying for marketing and they don't know what they're getting. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the biggest areas that we can come along and help entrepreneurs and business owners is let's be conservative in the amount that you spend, but let's get the most for your money when you do. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Let's see, what's your quickest path to converting that? Because you can have the best brand and the best marketing in the world, but no conversion. You know what I mean? And if you don't have conversion, what's the point? If everybody knows your name, but nobody does business with you, that's not good either.
$3 going, exactly.
Yeah. So we're super excited to talk to him and talk to Beto next week. So tune in. Big show next Friday morning. We're going to be broadcasting from our brokerage location in Alamo Heights. And so I'm really excited to see you guys there. And so
can we give Saul a shout out for this amazing
big shout out to Saul.
We're in his home studio.
So
I tell you guys, if you could see this, it's incredible setup. I've been in many podcast studios.
It's amazing.
And Saul, he's such a in the space here, San Antonio, and the production space. He's top tier. He's the guy.
Oh man, and he's the best of the best.
Grateful for him to open up the doors this morning for us, allowed us to use this space. And so he's behind the scenes, but I definitely wanted to give his shout out, and I want to give shout out to Jeremy too, one of my best friends who's in the house. Supports everything that we do, and it's an honor to do life with him too. So behind the scenes, you're not seeing those guys here, but they're here supporting our new venture, and
I love it.
The announcements that we're making.
I love it.
So
Sal is an incredible guy.
He is
an incredible guy, and he's been a mentor to me in many ways as well over the years. And so, but what he does, again, coming back to marketing, which is you don't have to spend a ton of money, but you do want, potent, good, impactful stuff, and you want to put it out there in a fashion that's going to get some people saying, you know what, I want to do business with you. You know what? We need to talk. And, you got to have a platform for that, And I think a lot of people miss when it comes to websites and landing pages and CRMs. It's like, yeah, that sounds great, but I'll get to that later. If you don't have your nets, when you cast or when you get out to the ocean, what are you going to catch the fish with? You can have the nicest ship. You can have the best, mentality, all the gratitude in the world, but you got to have some nets. You got to have some nets. And so how do we help our entrepreneurs build out those nets and start to capture, some of that business? Conversion is key, and it's something that we'll talk to people a lot about as we get further down the road with more and more clients as time goes by. So, man, lots of exciting stuff happening. And yeah, I appreciate Jeremy and Salo for everything they're doing in the background. And, I'm super grateful to kind of go full circle and go back to where we started in this conversation. Mm-hmm. I really want to leave this out there for anybody that is watching this or anybody that watches this at a later date. If you are, having some challenges with, alcohol or other toxic behaviors, we want to talk to you and help you. You know what I mean? We don't have it all figured out. That's the first thing we say.
Absolutely.
And man, I was probably one of your worst students, I would say, when it came to going back out, and it's one day at a time, as they say.
That's our motto. Yep.
But it's so hard, because even last week, we were at this beautiful restaurant, and man, there was these beautiful women there, and I was just like, I had Buddy, he was drinking, and I was like, man, it sure would be nice to have a cocktail right now. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, because I know where that goes for me. And so I'm so grateful that I was able to, but I'm also grateful to have a person that I could call and talk through it if I need to. And that's what we can be for other people out there that may be struggling with some of this stuff. Because I would say the most people that watch this show, there's probably more people than not that are saying, man, you know what? My health, my relationships, a lot of things in my life could be better or have gotten worse because of alcohol or drugs or codependency or one of these other toxic things.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with it. And like you stated, Carl and I don't have it figured out. We don't. We live it 24 hours at a time, one day at a time is the motto that we live. But I found personally, and I think you could agree with this, is that when we serve others, when we're serving others and helping others, and we're not into self, we're not thinking about everything that's going on, good or bad in our lives, and we're out serving other people, I think that's how God intended us to live life. And 100. I think that's when truly I'm in the best me, is when I'm serving others. And so just to back you up, that's our main purpose of life, is to help the community wherever we can be an asset. And Carl's right. If you're struggling with any type of addiction, reach out to either one of us and we can share some insight on how we did it. We're not experts, but as we mentioned, we take it 24 hours at a time. And
24 hours at a time.
Grateful for another day. And man, just super grateful to wake up on a Friday in San Antonio and jump on an amazing podcast with you, make a special announcement about our new business venture.
It's been fun.
It's just it's been an incredible way to start the weekend.
Oh man, I'm loving it. So yeah, just to finish it off for us, if you find yourself struggling with anything, reach out to us. We'd love to sit down with you and talk with you and see if we can help you and serve you in that space, because it's a rough place. You know what I mean? And I've been there. You've been there, and by the grace of God, we're making progress today, 24 hours at a time, and so we'd love to talk to you about that, and help you, maybe with some strategies, some systems, strategies and systems. Systems make the ordinary extraordinary. That's a wonderful John Maxwell quote.
Love that, brother.
And so we'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much for joining us today, and tune in next week. 9 a.m. Friday, 9:15. We were running a little late today with all the rain, but right around 9:15, and we'll see you guys for our next American Entrepreneur podcast. See you guys.